In the silent stretch of space near the edge of known galaxies, the Kaelari royal cruiser drifted like a silver shadow among stars. Inside its gleaming halls, Princess Lyra stood alone in her private chamber, watching distant suns flicker through the transparent wall. Her skin held a soft violet glow, her silver eyes wide with thought. She was young for a Kaelari noble, barely past her first century but already burdened by duty and doubt. Her people, proud and ancient, believed themselves superior to all other life. They saw lesser species as tools or threats, never equals. But Lyra had begun to question that belief. Weeks earlier, she had spoken against the Council's plan to invade Earth, a small blue world teeming with humans. The elders called her naive. They said humans were violent, disorganized, and unworthy of mercy. But Lyra had studied their signals. Songs filled with longing, stories of strangers saving each other, images of hands joining across differences. Something in those fragments stirred a feeling she could not name. It felt like hope. As punishment for her defiance, the Council confined her to her quarters and assigned extra guards. Yet they did not stop her from receiving reports or visitors. One such visitor was Lisa, a human woman captured during a border skirmish near Mars. Lisa was not a soldier. She was an engineer, taken by mistake when her research vessel was caught in crossfire. Unlike other prisoners, she did not beg or rage. She observed, adapted, and acted. At first, Lyra watched Lisa through surveillance feeds. She saw her repair a broken air recycler in her cell using only a bent wire and a piece of foil. She heard her humming a soft tune while cleaning her small space. There was calm in her, a quiet strength that puzzled the princess. So one evening, Lyra ordered the guards to bring Lisa to her. They met in a neutral room. White walls, no weapons, no thrones. Lisa stood tall despite her worn jumpsuit and tired eyes. She did not bow. "You wanted to see me," she asked, voice steady. Lyra studied her. "Why do you fix things when you are a prisoner?" "Because broken things can be mended," Lisa replied. "And because doing nothing feels worse." That answer stayed with Lyra. Over the next days, she summoned Lisa again and again, not for interrogation but for conversation. Lisa spoke of Earth, of oceans that changed color with the sky, of cities where people argued but still shared bread, of how humans built shelters for animals they did not own. Lyra listened, her silver eyes wide. She had never heard of kindness without gain. Meanwhile, unrest grew within the Kaelari fleet. A faction led by Commander Vrex believed the royal family had grown soft. They wanted immediate war with Earth, not diplomacy. Vrex saw Lyra's interest in humans as weakness. He began gathering loyalists, whispering that the princess was tainted by primitive influence. Lyra heard the rumors but dismissed them as court gossip. She trusted the chain of command. She did not know that Vrex had already planted spies in her security detail. One night, alarms shattered the ship's calm. Red lights pulsed through corridors. Explosions rocked the lower decks. Vrex had struck. His rebels seized control of engineering and communications. Their goal was clear: kill the royal line and launch the invasion without delay. Lyra's guards rushed her to a secure vault, but the rebels cut power before they could seal it. In the dark, chaos spread. Lyra ran, her royal robes snagging on debris. She ducked into a service tunnel, heart pounding. She had never been truly afraid before. Now fear coiled in her chest like ice. Then, a voice. Princess Lyra turned. Lisa stood at the tunnel's entrance, holding a flickering glow stick. Her face was smudged with soot, but her eyes were sharp. "I heard the alarms," she said. "I figured you'd need help. You escaped your cell." "I rewired the lock during my last visit," Lisa admitted with a small shrug. "Just in case," Lyra stared. This human had planned for danger, not for herself, but for others. "Why help me?" she asked again, voice trembling. "Because you listened when no one else would," Lisa said. "And because if Earth falls, it won't just be your people who suffer. It'll be everyone who believes peace is possible." She held out her hand. Lyra hesitated, then took it. The touch was warm, grounding. Together, they moved through the ship's underbelly, past sparking wires, leaking pipes, and the distant echo of gunfire. Lisa navigated like she had lived in these halls her whole life. She bypassed security grids with tools she'd hidden in her sleeve. She sealed a ruptured oxygen line using sealant from a maintenance kit. At every turn, she protected Lyra without hesitation. They reached the hangar bay, where a single scout ship remained untouched. Hope flickered in Lyra's chest. But as they approached, Commander Vrex stepped from the shadows, flanked by armed rebels. "Running away, Your Highness," he sneered. "With your pet human, no less. How far the royal blood has fallen." "This ends now, Vrex," Lyra said, stepping forward. "You betray your own people for pride." "I protect them," he shot back. "From your weakness. From your obsession with these fragile creatures who cannot even control their own planet." He raised his plasma rifle. Lisa shoved Lyra behind her. "Get to the ship," she whispered, but Lyra refused to move. She saw Lisa's body tense, ready to take the blast meant for her. In that instant, Lyra understood. This human did not fight for glory or survival alone. She fought for what was right, even if it cost her everything. Lyra activated her royal comm, broadcasting across all frequencies. "To all loyal Kilari vessels, this is Princess Lyra. Commander Vrex has committed treason. Stand down or be marked enemy of the crown." For a long moment, silence. Then one by one ships responded. Captains pledged loyalty. Vrex's face twisted in disbelief. His rebellion was crumbling from within. Enraged, he fired. The bolt struck Lisa in the shoulder. She gasped, crumpling to the floor. Lyra cried out, dropping to her knees beside her. Blood-red human blood soaked Lisa's uniform. Lyra pressed her hands to the wound, activating her med band. Violet energy pulsed, slowing the bleeding. "Stay with me," Lyra begged. Tears falling. Real tears. Something Kilari were not supposed to shed. Vrex raised his weapon again, but royal guards stormed the bay, weapons drawn. He was overpowered, dragged away shouting curses about traitors and decay. Medical drones arrived, lifting Lisa onto a stretcher. Lyra walked beside her, refusing to let go of her hand. In the med bay, as doctors worked, Lyra made her choice. She contacted the High Council. "The invasion of Earth is cancelled," she declared. "Not out of fear, but because I have seen true strength. It does not come from weapons or empires. It comes from those who protect others without expecting reward," the council argued. But Lyra held firm. She had the fleet's loyalty now, and a new understanding of what it meant to lead. Days later, Lisa opened her eyes in a healing pod. Lyra sat beside her, dressed not in royal silks but in simple gray fabric. "You're awake," she said softly. "Did we stop them?" Lisa asked, voice weak. "Yes," Lyra replied. "Because of you," Lisa smiled faintly. "Just doing what felt right." In the weeks that followed, the Kilari began to change. Slowly, quietly, Earth was spared. Communication channels opened. And Lisa, once a prisoner, became a symbol, a bridge between species. Lyra often visited her on the observation deck, where they watched Earth's blue glow in the distance. One evening, Lisa asked, "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't fixed that air recycler?" Lyra looked at her, silver eyes full of gratitude. "I don't wonder," she said. "I know. Without you, I would have stayed blind. You didn't just save a planet. You saved me from becoming what I was taught to be." And in that quiet moment, the alien princess finally understood the human heart, not through data or logic, but through the selfless act of a woman named Lisa, who risked everything just to give hope a chance. Months passed since the failed rebellion aboard the Kilari royal cruiser, and peace between Earth and the Kilari Empire held like a fragile thread. Princess Lyra had returned to the capital world of Zenthera, a planet of towering crystal spires and silent gardens, but her mind remained fixed on the small blue planet far away. She spent her days reviewing human cultural archives, listening to music from New Orleans, watching footage of children playing in Tokyo parks, and reading poetry written by people who had never left their own towns. Each piece of human life felt like a gift, a reminder of why she had chosen a different path. Lisa, now officially recognized as Earth's first cultural liaison to the Kilari court, lived in a modest residence near the royal gardens. She wore simple clothes, avoided ceremonies when she could, and spent most of her time in the engineering wing, helping Kilari technicians adapt human-style repair methods that valued improvisation over rigid protocols. The Kilari were precise, logical, and efficient, but Lisa taught them that sometimes a bent nail and a little patience could fix what a perfect tool could not. Not everyone welcomed her presence. Elder counselors whispered behind closed doors, calling her influence dangerous. Some nobles refused to speak to her. Once, a young Kilari officer spat at her feet in the corridor, muttering about soft-blooded primitives. Lisa said nothing. She just wiped her boot and kept walking. Lyra saw it happen. That night, she summoned the officer and stripped him of his rank. "Disrespect for a guest is disrespect for the crown," she declared. Word spread quickly. After that, the whispers grew quieter. They docked and entered through an airlock thick with frost. Inside, the halls were empty. Too empty. No bodies, no blood. Just scattered props, broken consoles, torn uniforms, staged scenes of chaos. Lisa knelt by a console. This virus they mentioned. It's fake. The system logs show it was never active. Someone uploaded this footage from an external drive. Then they found the control room. And inside, Kalen waited. He was old, his violet skin lined with age, his silver eyes sharp with sorrow, not hate. You came, he said softly. I hoped you would. You lied, Lyra said, her voice cold. I showed what could happen, he replied. Not what did. Humans are emotional, impulsive. One day, one of them will make a choice that destroys us all. Better to see it now than too late. You don't know them, Lisa said. You've never spoken to one who wasn't acting in your play. Kalen looked at her. And you? Have you never made a mistake that hurt others? Lisa was quiet for a moment. Yes, she said. I once rerouted power on a mining rig to save time. A cable overheated. 2 people died. I carried that guilt for years, but I didn't hide from it. I learned. I built safer systems. That's what humans do. We fail. Then we try to be better. Kalen's shoulders slumped. I only wanted to protect our way of life. Your way is not stone, Lyra said gently. It can grow. It can change and still be yours, but only if you trust others enough to walk beside them. At that moment, alarms blared. The station's self-destruct sequence activated. Kalen's final act meant to trap them and make it look like humans destroyed the evidence. He didn't set this, Lisa said, checking the console. Someone else did. Someone who wanted you dead, Kalen. Realization struck them all at once. The pure flame had used Kalen as a pawn. His guilt made him easy to manipulate. Now they would kill him and blame Lisa for the explosion. We have 8 minutes, Lisa said, already pulling panels open. I can override the core if I reach engineering. I'll go with you, Lyra said. No, Lisa replied. You stay with him. He needs to see that not all endings are tragic. Lyra hesitated, then nodded. She helped Kalen to his feet. You don't have to die for your fear, she told him. You can live for your hope. Meanwhile, Lisa raced through collapsing corridors, dodging falling debris and sparking wires. The station groaned like a dying beast. She reached engineering, her hands flying over the controls. The override required a dual-key sequence, 1 human, 1 Kalari. She couldn't do it alone. She calmed Lyra. I need your biometric code. Now. Lyra placed her palm on a nearby terminal in the control room. Her code transmitted instantly. Lisa entered it, then her own. The countdown stopped at 12 seconds. Silence. They were safe. Back on the ship, Kalen sat in silence, staring at his hands. I was wrong, he whispered. Not about the risk, but about the response. Fear is not protection. It is a cage. When they returned to Zenthera, Lyra did not punish him. Instead, she appointed him head of a new cultural exchange program, tasked with teaching Kalari youth about human history, flaws and all. Let them see the truth, she said, not the fear. Months later, a new project began, a joint Earth-Kalari colony on a neutral world, built not for mining or war, but for learning. Lisa oversaw the habitat design, ensuring it blended human warmth with Kalari efficiency. Lyra walked the half-finished streets, watching children from both species play together in the dust. One evening, as the twin suns set in a blaze of orange and violet, Lisa joined her. Do you think it will last? Lisa asked. Nothing lasts forever, Lyra said. But this? It has a chance, because people like you keep showing up even when it's hard. Lisa smiled. I'm just an engineer. You are the reason we believe in bridges, Lyra said, and as the stars blinked awake above them, the 2 women stood side by side, not as princess and protector, not as alien and human, but as friends who had faced lies, fear, and fire, and chosen trust anyway. The joint colony on the neutral world of Elara had grown faster than anyone expected. What began as a handful of domes and solar arrays now bustled with life. Human children racing past Kalari elders in the central plaza, shared gardens blooming with earth flowers and Zenthera moss, and a school where lessons were taught in both English and the melodic tones of the Kalari tongue. Lisa spent her days walking the pathways, checking water lines, adjusting air filters, and always listening. She believed a colony thrived not by its walls but by the voices inside it. Lyra visited often, though her duties as crown heir kept her on Zenthera most days. When she came, she did not arrive in royal robes or with fanfare. She wore simple traveler's clothes and walked the same paths as everyone else. People no longer bowed. They nodded. They smiled. Some even called her by name. But peace, even when built with care, carries shadows. Far away on the fringes of known space, a new threat stirred. Not from within the Kalari Empire, but from beyond it. A species called the Vorthax, long thought extinct, had returned. They were not like the Kalari or humans. They saw all other life as raw material. They harvested planets, stripped them of resources, and left behind husks wrapped in silence. Their ships moved like ghosts, appearing without warning, vanishing after destruction. First, a mining outpost vanished. Then a trade station. Then a Kalari patrol fleet went dark. Fear spread. The High Council urged Lyra to fortify the core worlds and abandon the outer colonies, including Alara. Lyra refused. "We do not build bridges only to burn them when storms come," she told them. Meanwhile, Lisa noticed something strange. The colony's deep-range sensors, which she had upgraded herself, picked up faint energy echoes that did not match any known ship signature. They came and went like whispers. She reported it, but the Kalari military dismissed it as solar interference. One night, alone in the comms shed, Lisa replayed the signals. She slowed them, filtered the noise, and found a pattern, a repeating sequence hidden beneath the static. It was not a message. It was a countdown. She ran to Lyra's quarters. The princess was reviewing crop yields with a human botanist. Lisa didn't knock. "They're coming," she said, breathless. "The Vorthax. They'll hit Alara in 3 days." Lyra's face went still. "How can you be sure? Because they're not just scanning," Lisa explained. "They're mapping. And this signal? It's the same one found near the last destroyed station. Someone buried it deep so it wouldn't be noticed." The council still refused to act. "Alara is not worth a fleet," one elder said. "Let them take it. We will rebuild elsewhere." Lyra looked at Lisa. "What do? We don't wait for help," Lisa said. "We prepare." In the next 48 hours, the colony transformed. Lisa rallied engineers, farmers, teachers, anyone with hands and heart. They dug trenches, rerouted power to hidden reserves, and built decoy signal towers to confuse scanners. Kalari medics prepared emergency pods. Human pilots volunteered their small freighters for scouting runs. Even children helped, packing supplies and memorizing evacuation routes. Lyra broadcast a message to every settlement within 5 systems. "If the Vorthax come for us, they will find not a target but a shield. And we will stand together." On the 3rd day, the sky darkened. 3 Vorthax cruisers emerged from fold space, sleek and black, their hulls absorbing light. They hovered over Alara like vultures, but they did not attack immediately. Instead, a single shuttle detached and landed at the colony's edge. A figure stepped out, tall, armored, face hidden behind a smooth mask. It carried no weapon. Lyra and Lisa met it at the gate. "You are not what we expected," the figure said, voice distorted but calm. It spoke perfect English. "We are what we choose to be," Lyra replied. The figure removed its mask. Beneath it was a face both human and not, pale skin, dark eyes, but with faint silver tracings along the temples. "I am Marin," she said. "Last of the free Vorthax." Shock rippled through the crowd. "Vorthax were monsters, not people." "My people were once like you," Marin explained. "Curious, creative. But our world died. Our sun collapsed. In desperation, our leaders turned to harvesting others to survive. They rewrote our history, erased our compassion. I escaped before the change took me." She looked at Lisa. "I've watched your signals, your music, your stories of saving strangers. I came not to destroy, but to ask, can there be another way?" Silence fell. Then Lisa stepped forward. "Show us your ship." Marin led them aboard. Inside it was not a war machine, but a refugee vessel, packed with families, children, elders, all thin and weary. They had not come to harvest. They had come to beg. But the main Vorthax fleet would arrive soon, and they would not ask. They would take. "We can hide you," Lyra said, "but it will mean war with your own kind." "We are already at war," Marin replied. "Just not the kind you think." Lisa had an idea. "Your ships use resonance cores, right?" Marin nodded. "Then we can trick the fleet. We'll send a signal that says Alara is already stripped. Dead core, no value. If we mimic the frequency of a harvested world, they might pass us by." It was risky. One mistake and the fleet would know they were lying. For 2 days, Lisa and Marin worked in the comms shed, coding the false signal. Lyra coordinated with the colony, preparing for the worst. If the trick failed, they would fight. Not with weapons, but with evacuation. Every life mattered. On the morning of the fourth day, the Vorthax Armada appeared. Dozens of ships black against the stars. Lisa sent the signal. Still, tension simmered. Commander Vrex's followers had not vanished. They hid in the outer fleets and mining colonies in the dark corners of the data streams. They called themselves the Pure Flame, and they believed Lyra's alliance with humans was the beginning of the Empire's decay. They plotted in silence, waiting for a moment to strike. That moment came during the Unity Summit, a historic gathering where representatives from Earth and the Kailari would sign a formal treaty of mutual understanding. The event was to be held in the Grand Hall of Zenthera, beneath a dome that opened to the stars. Thousands would watch, both in person and through live feeds across two civilizations. Lisa helped design the human delegation's arrival shuttle, ensuring it could interface safely with Kailari docking systems. She double-checked every wire, every code, every seal, but she could not check everything. The Pure Flame had infiltrated the maintenance crew. They planted a resonance bomb inside the hall's central support column, a device that would not explode with fire, but with a pulse that disrupted neural implants. For Kailari, whose minds were linked to their ships and systems through biotech, such a pulse would cause seizures, memory loss, even death. For humans, it would be harmless. The attack was meant to look like a human betrayal. On the morning of the summit, Lyra wore a gown woven with silver threads that shimmered like starlight. She stood at the hall's entrance, waiting for Lisa and the Earth delegates. Her heart beat fast, not from fear, but from hope. This treaty could change everything. Lisa arrived last, carrying a small datapad. She smiled when she saw Lyra. "You look like you're about to give a speech." "I am," Lyra said. "But only if you stand beside me." Before Lisa could reply, the lights flickered. A low hum filled the air. The floor vibrated, then chaos. Kailari guards collapsed, clutching their heads. Counselors screamed as their implants overloaded. The dome's support beams groaned. Smoke rose from control panels. Panic spread like wildfire. "It's a neural pulse," Lisa shouted over the noise. Someone rigged the system to mimic human tech. Lyra's eyes widened. "They'll blame you." "They'll blame all of Earth," Lisa corrected. "And your treaty dies before it begins." Without hesitation, Lisa ran toward the central column, dodging falling debris. Lyra followed, shouting orders to the few guards still standing. "Secure the exits. Protect the delegates. Do not let anyone touch the human team." Inside the column's access hatch, Lisa found the bomb, a sleek black cylinder pulsing with blue light. It was counting down. 30 seconds. She had no tools, no time, only her hands and her mind. Remembering an old trick from her academy days, she jammed her datapad into the device's input port and rewrote its core command on the fly. It was reckless. One wrong line of code and the pulse would trigger early. Sweat dripped from her brow. Her fingers flew across the screen. 10 seconds. Lyra stood guard at the hatch, her ceremonial dagger drawn. Rebels in maintenance uniforms charged toward them, weapons raised. She fought not with royal grace but with desperate fury, slashing and blocking, buying Lisa time. 5 seconds. Lisa hit enter. The pulse stopped. The hum died. The lights stabilized. The Kailari on the floor began to stir, confused but alive. Silence fell over the hall. Then the rebels attacked openly. They burst through side doors, firing stun rounds. Their goal was clear: kill Lisa and make it look like she sabotaged the summit. Lyra pulled Lisa behind a pillar. "We have to get you out." "No," Lisa said, breathing hard. "If I run, they win. They'll say I tried to kill your people and fled when caught. Then what do we do?" Lisa looked around, eyes sharp. "We show them the truth." She grabbed a fallen guard's comm unit and patched into the main broadcast system. Her voice echoed through the hall and across every screen in the Empire. This attack was not from Earth. It was from those who fear peace more than war. Look at the bomb. Look at the code. It was built to mimic our tech, but it uses Kalari encryption keys. Only someone inside your own ranks could have done this. She displayed the bomb's schematics on the dome's inner surface. The evidence was undeniable. The crowd murmured. Even the rebels hesitated. Then royal enforcers loyal to Lyra stormed the hall, surrounding the attackers. The leader of the Pure Flame dropped his weapon, his face pale. "You don't understand," he cried. "Humans will weaken us. They already have." Lyra stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "You are wrong. Humans did not weaken us. They showed us that strength includes mercy, that courage includes trust. And today, Lisa saved your lives not because she had to, but because she chose to. The hall fell silent. Then one by one, the Kalari began to bow, not to their princess, but to the human woman who had stood her ground. After the summit, the treaty was signed. Not in haste, but with care. Not out of fear, but with respect. In the days that followed, Lisa received a message from Earth. Her old neighborhood in Atlanta had named a community center after her. She laughed when she read it, tears in her eyes. "They think I'm some kind of hero?" she told Lyra. "You are," Lyra said simply. "I just fix things," Lisa replied. "That is the rarest kind of hero," Lyra said, "one who builds instead of breaks." As seasons turned on Xanthera, the two women walked often through the gardens, talking about everything and nothing. Sometimes about Earth storms, sometimes about Kalari star myths, sometimes about the future they were helping to shape together. One evening, as twin moons rose over the crystal spires, Lisa asked, "Do you ever miss the old ways?" Lyra looked at her, silver eyes reflecting moonlight. "I miss the certainty, but not the blindness. Before you, I thought strength was control. Now I know it is choice. And you gave me the courage to choose differently." Lisa smiled. Then we saved each other. And in that quiet truth, under alien skies, the bond between a human engineer and an alien princess grew, not as symbols, but as friends who had seen the worst in their worlds and still believed in the best. The bond between Princess Lyra and Lisa had become the quiet heartbeat of a changing empire. But peace never lasts long when old wounds fester in the dark. Far beyond the glittering spires of Xanthera, in the lawless voids between star systems, the remnants of the pure flame gathered once more. Their leader now was not a soldier, but a scholar named Kalen, once a respected historian of the royal archives. He believed the Kailari had lost their soul not through war, but through forgetting, and in his eyes Lisa was the symbol of that loss. A human who had softened their laws, diluted their traditions, and made their young question the old ways. Kalen did not seek to kill. He sought to prove. He wanted the galaxy to see that humans were not equals, but parasites who thrived on the kindness of stronger species. His plan was subtle, cruel, and designed to break trust at its root. He sent a distress signal from a remote research outpost near the edge of Kalari space. The message claimed that human scientists had betrayed a joint project, stealing sacred Kalari biodata and infecting the station's systems with a virus that turned Kalari minds against their own bodies. The footage showed Kalari writhing in pain, their silver eyes clouded with madness, while human figures in lab coats watched coldly from behind glass. The message spread like fire. Even loyalists to Lyra hesitated. How could they ignore such proof? Lyra saw the footage in her private chamber. Her hands trembled. She wanted to believe it was false, but doubt crept in like smoke. She turned to Lisa, who had just entered with a report on water filtration upgrades for Earth's refugee camps. "Did your people do this?" Lyra asked, voice tight. Lisa watched the clip once, then again. Her face went still. "No," she said. "This is staged. Look at the uniforms. They're outdated by 3 years. And that lab layout? It matches a decommissioned Kalari facility, not a joint station. Someone rebuilt it to look real. Why would anyone do that to make us turn on each other?" Lisa said. "To prove humans can't be trusted." Lyra's council demanded immediate sanctions. Some called for Lisa's exile, but Lyra refused. "We will go to the station ourselves," she declared, "and see the truth with our own eyes." Against all advice, they boarded a small, unmarked vessel and flew toward the signal's origin. No guards, no fleet, just the two of them and a pilot loyal to Lyra's cause. The journey took 6 days. Silence filled the cabin. Lisa worked on decrypting the signal's source code. Lyra stared at the stars, wrestling with fear, not of danger, but of betrayal. What if Lisa was wrong? What if Earth had changed in her absence? When they arrived, the station hung in orbit around a dead moon, dark and silent. No life signs, no transmissions, just the ghost of a distress call looping endlessly. Minutes passed. Then one by one the ships turned away, vanishing into fold space as quietly as they came. Cheers erupted across Alara, but Lisa and Lyra did not celebrate. They stood with Marin, watching the empty sky. "They'll be back," Marin said, "when they find no harvest elsewhere." "Then we'll be ready," Lyra said. In the weeks that followed, the Vorthax refugees were given shelter in the outer domes. They worked alongside humans and Kalari, planting crops, repairing walls, learning songs. Marin taught Lisa about Vorthax engineering. Lisa taught her how to bake bread. Small things, human things. One evening, as the three women sat on a hill overlooking the colony, Marin asked, "Why help us? We are the enemy in your stories." "Because stories can change," Lisa said. "And because no one should have to become a monster to survive," Lyra added. Marin looked at her hands. "I thought I was the last good one, but maybe I was just the first to find you." Time moved on. The colony grew stronger. Word of Alara spread, not as a target but as a beacon. Other lost souls came, other species seeking peace. The Kalari Council, seeing the truth with their own eyes, finally sent aid, not soldiers but builders, teachers, healers. Lyra knew then that her path was clear. She would not rule as her ancestors did, from thrones of stone and silence. She would lead from the ground beside those she served. And Lisa, she stayed. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Earth was home, but Alara was hope. One night, as stars dusted the sky, Lyra turned to her. "Do you ever miss your old life?" Lisa thought for a moment. "I miss rain on my face. I miss my sister's laugh, but I don't miss feeling small. Here, even fixing a pipe feels like part of something bigger." Lyra smiled. "Then we are lucky. Because the galaxy needs people who see the big picture in small acts." And under the quiet stars of Alara, where three species learned to share one sky, the human protector and the alien princess walked side by side, not as heroes, but as friends who proved that the bravest thing anyone can do is offer kindness to a stranger. Years had passed since the first dome rose on Alara, and the colony had become something no one had dared to imagine, a true home for many species. Humans, Kalari, and the freed Vorthax lived not just side by side, but together, sharing meals, stories, and even holidays. Children played in mixed groups, speaking a blend of languages that sounded like music. Lisa, now older, her hair streaked with gray, still walked the pathways every morning, checking water lines and listening to anyone who needed to talk. She wore simple clothes, her hands rough from work, but her eyes still held that quiet fire. Lyra, soon to be crowned Empress of the Kalari, visited less often now, but when she did, she stayed for weeks. She no longer came as royalty, but as a friend. She helped in the communal kitchens, taught history to the young, and sat with elders under the twin suns, learning from their wisdom. The galaxy watched Alara not with suspicion but with wonder. Other worlds began to reach out, asking how they too could build bridges instead of walls. But peace, even when deep-rooted, can be shaken by a single stone. It began with silence. A distant colony on the edge of Vorthax space stopped sending signals. Then another. Not destroyed, just quiet. Marin, now head of Ilara's defense council, grew uneasy. "The old fleet is hunting again," she said one evening, standing with Lisa and Lyra in the observation tower. "But this time they are not harvesting. They are searching." "For what?" Lyra asked. "For us," Marin replied. "For the ones who left. They see us not as refugees but as traitors, and they believe we carry the key to their survival." Lisa frowned. "What key?" Marin hesitated. "Before the fall of our world, our scientists discovered something, a way to restore dead stars. Not fully, but enough to give a dying system more time. The project was lost when the harvesters took over, but I escaped with the core data. It's hidden here in my personal archive." Lyra's eyes widened. "You never told us." "Because I feared what it could do in the wrong hands," Marin said, "or even in desperate ones. If the main Vorthax fleet gets it, they will not use it to heal. They will use it to control, to demand tribute from every system in exchange for light." The weight of her words settled over them like dust. That night, Lisa could not sleep. She walked to the old comms shed, now used as a school for signal techs. She thought about stars, how they gave light without asking for thanks, how they burned until they had nothing left. Humans had always looked up and dreamed. What if they could help a star live longer? What if they could give hope to dying worlds? But power like that could also become a weapon. Early the next morning, she found Marin in the garden, tending to a patch of blue earth flowers. "Show me the data," Lisa said. Marin studied her face. "You want to use it." "I want to understand it," Lisa corrected, "before we decide what to do." For days they worked in secret, decoding the ancient Vorthax files. The science was complex, blending quantum resonance with stellar plasma dynamics. But Lisa saw a pattern, a way to simplify it, to make it safer. What if we don't give them a key, she said one night, eyes bright, but a seed? Something that only works if a world is willing to care for it, not exploit it. Marin was stunned. You would share this with others. Not the full design, Lisa said. Just enough to let them try. Real healing can't be forced. It has to grow, Lyra agreed. But they knew the old Vorthax fleet would not wait for debate. Scouts reported ships gathering at the system's edge. They would arrive in 10 days. Instead of hiding, they chose to act. Lyra sent a message across all open channels. Not just to Kalari or humans, but to every listening world. Ilara holds knowledge that may help dying stars. We will not keep it secret. We will not sell it. We will share it freely, with one condition. You must promise to use it only to heal, never to harm. And you must send representatives here, not armies. The response was swift. Some called it madness. Others called it hope. Within days, ships from a dozen systems arrived at Ilara, not to fight but to learn. The old Vorthax fleet came on the 9th day. 50 black ships, silent and grim. They formed a ring around the planet, weapons charged. Their leader, a figure known only as the Reaper, demanded the data be handed over or Ilara would be erased. Lyra stood on the surface, flanked by Lisa and Marin, and broadcast her reply. The data is already gone from our vaults. It is now in the hands of those who will use it wisely. If you destroy us, you destroy nothing but your last chance to change. The Reaper was silent for a long moment. Then a single ship broke from the fleet. It landed outside the colony gate. The Reaper stepped out, tall, scarred, his armor cracked with age. He looked at Marin. You betrayed us. I saved what was left of us, she said. He turned to Lisa. You gave our secret away. I gave your future back to you, she replied. He studied the colony, the mixed faces, the shared work, the children laughing in the distance. Something in his eyes softened. We have forgotten how to hope, he admitted. Then stay, Lyra said. Not as conquerors, as students. To everyone's surprise, he agreed. Not all of his fleet followed. Some turned away, still bound to the old ways, but many stayed. They disarmed. They listened. They learned. In the months that followed, Ilara became more than a colony. It became a school for peace. The Starseed project began on a small scale, tested on a dying red dwarf in a nearby system. Within a year, its light grew steadier, not bright like youth, but warm like memory. Lisa stood with Lyra and Marin on the observation hill, watching the data stream confirm the success. It worked, she whispered. Because you believed it could, Lyra said. Marin looked at the sky. My people spent centuries running from death. You taught us to walk toward life. As the sun set, painting the sky in gold and violet, Lisa thought of her old home, of the people who had shaped her, of the choices that led her here. She had never wanted to be a hero. She just wanted to fix what was broken. And in doing so, she had helped mend more than machines. She had helped heal worlds. Lyra touched her shoulder. What now, Lisa smiled. Now we keep building. One pipe, one seed, one friendship at a time. And under the watchful stars, the three women stood together. Human, Kalari, Vorthax. Not as symbols of what was, but as proof of what could be.